Good morning, everyone. It's truly an honor for me to be here this morning to welcome Premier Ford and my colleagues to our beautiful riding of Vaughan, Woodbridge. Our community is blessed with some of the hardest working people in this province. Whether you're a student, work in construction, or work at one of our many local businesses, I've learned so many valuable things from the people of Vaughan Woodbridge while serving as their MPP. The respect for every dollar you make and working hard to earn what you have. And I've been hearing from you about the need for more reliable transportation and the improvement of our roads so that you can get to work on time and back home to your loved ones faster. Thanks to the hard work of my colleague, Minister Mulroney, we've been building a critical infrastructure, solving gridlock and promoting economic growth across Ontario. As you'll hear in just a moment, our government, led by Premier Ford, is taking further action to make life easier and more affordable. This is part of our plan to build a stronger Ontario. Without further delay, please join me in welcoming Premier Ford to the podium.
Well, first of all, good morning, everyone, and I want to thank you, Minister Tibollo, for that introduction and the work you do every single day for the people of Vaughan. And before I start, I need to recognize Minister Mulroney, who's been so important in making these announcements possible. I also want to welcome our great MPPs. Stan, great to see you, and VJ, welcome. First of all, Stephen, great job, President of the Ontario Trucking Association. Man, you've been working your back off for a number of years, so thank you for that. And Jeff, the Senior Vice President of the Ontario Trucking Association. Nadia, Executive Director, Residential and Civil Construction Association of Ontario. And Peter, Executive Director, Heavy Construction Association of Toronto. And we have two incredible mayors here. We have an incredible relationship with them. I want to welcome Mayor Bevilacqua. You've done an incredible job for the people of Vaughan. And Mayor, absolutely. And Mayor Thompson is with us today. These are great mayors. Mayor of Caledon, they've done an incredible job representing their communities. Friends, our government has a plan for growing a stronger economy, an economy that works for everyone. It's a plan that will attract investment to create good jobs in our auto and manufacturing sectors. It's a plan that is connecting resources and industries in Northern Ontario to the future of clean steel and electric vehicles. And it's a plan that's building roads, bridges, and highways, expanding subways and public transit, and constructing more homes, allowing for a growing province. Friends, we're building Ontario, because we cannot allow the inaction of past governments to hold back the families, workers, and businesses of this province any longer. To the people of Ontario, I've heard you. I know that you don't want to be trapped in gridlock for hours during your daily commute. And you know that our growing province needs more subways. It means we need more roads, more highways, more options to get around. And that's exactly where we're putting your money. It's exactly what we're doing. My friends, a province that is growing as fast as ours needs the transportation infrastructure to support it. That's why our government is saying yes to finally building badly needed new highways like the Brantford Bypass and a new highway for Vaughan, Brampton, Caledon, and Mississauga, the 413. We're saying yes to expanding regional passenger rail options and bringing new bus service to areas underserved by local transit. We're saying yes to the largest slate of subway builds in Canadian history, with over 40 kilometers of new tunnel. It's why we are now launching our plan for transportation in the Greater Golden Horseshoe Vision for Mobility 2051. The Greater Golden Horseshoe, stretching from Niagara in the west to Northumberland in the east, is vital to Ontario's economic health. $1.16 trillion in goods move through the region annually. It is home to 10 million Ontarians and adding 200,000 new residents each and every year. So our 30-year plan is designed to not only address today's transit needs, but to put proactive solutions in place to prepare for generations that will follow. We're not just building for today, we're building for the next 50 to 100 years. We're building for the next generation. We owe it to our kids and our grandkids to make the decisions now that will benefit them tomorrow. And our plan will also create good jobs and boost Ontario's competitiveness as North American business hub. It's all part of our government's historic $28.5 billion investment in transit infrastructure. We're also showing what can happen when we work together with our federal and municipal partners on large-scale transit projects to break through the political red tape and get shovels in the ground that much faster. Because what matters most is bringing real help and real solutions to the people of Ontario. We're on a mission to build a stronger, more resilient, and more connected province so Ontarians can enjoy the fast and reliable transit that they deserve. Our province has come so far, we can't afford to go back to the politics of no. Instead, your government is saying yes. Yes to building the highways to serve a growing population, yes to investing in world-class transit infrastructure, and yes to good jobs for our workers. Friends, let's say yes to a better and brighter future that the people of Ontario deserve. Thank you, and God bless the people of Ontario.
We will now take questions from the media. If those with questions could please form a line behind the microphone. It'll be one question and one follow-up, one at a time.
Hi, Premier.
Hi.
How are you? Jeff Gray, Globe and Mail. I wanted to ask you about the mask mandate.
Yes, sure.
So we've heard from Coalition of Children's Hospitals, members of the Science Table, some other experts who say to do this, to be sure of it, to be confident in it, the government needs to see, they would like to see a few more days, 7 days, maybe 14 days more of data to ensure that this Omicron thing really is, done with. You have talked about the virtue you've made of caution in dealing with the pandemic, particularly in the past year. Are you abandoning caution now, and why?
You know something, I've always listened to the recommendations from Dr. Moore. Dr. Moore has put our recommendations forward. I believe in him. He's done an incredible job. He's brought us this far all the way through the pandemic. We look around the world, we look around North America, we look around Canada. By no means are we out front and center. We're going to continue to be cautious and always be cautious. And when it comes to masks, if someone wants to wear a mask, all the power to them. And that's going to be their option. They're however they feel about it, they're going to make that decision.
As a follow-up, just to change to the announcement today and the transportation plan, and maybe the minister will want to chime in too. There's been a lot of concern about the Brantford Bypass, and it's the critics center on the issue of its effect on Lake Simcoe, which is imperiled. The government, your government's committed to keeping Lake Simcoe from going over the brink. However, that transportation plan also has another dotted line that continues on to the east, hugs Lake Simcoe, the 404 extension. How can that project be contemplated? It was approved about the same time as the Brantford Bypass was. Given the danger to Lake Simcoe already that's been talked about with the Brantford Bypass?
Well, I'll pass that to Minister Mulroney.
Well, thank you very much for the question. As you know, the Brantford Bypass was subject to the most comprehensive environmental assessment that we have in Ontario, the Class A environmental assessment. We are now currently updating it, and there are a series of studies, over 12 or 15 studies that are being done now to monitor the impact of the planned construction on Lake Simcoe. With respect to additional plans, everything that we do will be done in conformity with our environmental laws and regulations.
Hi, Jamie.
Good morning, Mr. Premier. Mr. Premier, we heard from Dr. Moore yesterday that he's going to wear a mask if he goes into a big box store and other locations. Where are you going to wear a mask? What's your level of comfortability after everything's over with? Are you going to wear a mask in some situations?
Again, well, thanks for that question, Jamie. I've always followed Dr. Moore's direction, and it's going to be a choice. It's going to be a choice up to people. I can tell you, if I'm going into long-term care to see my mother-in-law, I'm wearing a mask. If I'm visiting someone in the hospital, I'm wearing a mask. But people are going to have a choice. Dr. Moore said we're at that point that people are going to have to determine if they want to wear a mask or if they don't want to wear a mask. And I just encourage everyone moving forward, let's support each other. No matter if you're wearing a mask or you aren't, we've went through a real challenge over the last 2 years. So let's be united and respect each and every person's decision.
Good, thank you. That came in from Cynthia. And this one comes in from Grant Jennings, CBC. Calls are growing for the First Nation leadership, from the First Nation leadership, for the province to step in, disband the Thunder Bay Police and Oversight Board and bring immediate provincial oversight into the Thunder Bay Police Department. Is that necessary? It was a pretty damning report.
Well, something, we'll sit down and discuss that with the First Nations. Again, I met with a regional chief the other day. He was in my office. We had a great discussion. I have a phenomenal relationship with the First Nations community, led by our Minister, Greg Rickford. I give him all the credit, but we're always willing to sit down and collaborate with the First Nations community, and we'll go from there. But thank you for that question.
Hi there, Premier Ford. Lisa Shing from CBC.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi. On masking, why is your government and you telling the most vulnerable people who are susceptible to COVID, including the elderly, that it's now on them to protect themselves and wear a mask?
Well, something, again, there has to be a point after 2 years of going through this. People have to have a choice. We can't live with this forever. And I'm always following the advice of Dr. Moore, our chief medical officer, and he is saying the same thing. They're going to have a choice based on their health condition. If they want to wear a mask, God bless them. Good for them. And no one should bother them about that either. So that's going to be their choice. And keep in mind, the whole world is doing the same thing. All of North America is doing the same thing. We aren't leading the pack. I just want to repeat again, the media and everyone else will accuse me of being the most cautious person in North America when it comes to mandates and masking. So I'll always follow the chief medical officer's advice.
And on the announcement today, why aren't you telling the public the cost of the Brantford Bypass and Highway 413?
Well, something, we're building, we're pouring money into infrastructure, making sure that people get from point A to point B. We're seeing growth of 200,000 people a year coming here. You see the gridlock on the highways. People don't want to be sitting in gridlock. We're going to make sure we continue building highways and roads and bridges across this province. We're spending $148 billion on infrastructure. We're a growing population, one of the fastest growing jurisdictions in North America, and people have to get from point A to point B as quickly as possible. So I'm proud that we're building a highway for Caledon and Vaughan and Brampton and Mississauga, and people coming down the 400 to get from 400 out east as quickly as possible. But thank you for that question.
Okay, this will be the last question.
Thank you, Jamie. Last few questions. Premier, you're talking a lot about choice when it comes to masking. Sure. I'm wondering what your message is for parents of children under 5 who are too young to be vaccinated. Pretty soon, one pretty important layer of protection, masks being worn by their ECEs and teachers in daycares and kindergarten, are going to be removed, and the children obviously don't really have a choice in that. What is your message to those families?
Well, my message is if they aren't comfortable, wear a mask. It's not being forced on anyone to take it off or put it on. It's going to be their choice. So if they're nervous, I encourage them to keep their masks on. And that goes for everyone. It doesn't matter if you're under 5 or over 5 or you're 90 or whatever. Wear a mask if you feel comfortable.
So I just wanted to clarify, my question was about kids under 5, kids in daycare. Most of them are, a lot of them are too young to wear masks, so the choice is not really theirs to make. But I don't know if you want to comment on that before I move on.
Well, again, it's going to be up to the parents, right? No one's going to force anyone to take a mask off, and no one's going to force anyone to put a mask on. I think the parents understand the situation within their family, within their child, and it's going to be their choice.
I'm also wondering about the science table. The science table said that they weren't consulted on yesterday's announcement, and with pretty much all of the public health measures being removed pretty soon anyway, are you looking at disbanding the science table? Do we need to continue relying on their advice?
Sure, I rely on everyone's advice, but I take direction from Dr. Moore. Dr. Moore consults with other chief medical officers around the province, no matter if it's Dr. Davila or Dr. Etches. You know, Dr. Moore has just been absolutely incredible. We're so fortunate to have him to guide us through this. He's done an incredible job. I support him 1,000%. I'll always follow his guidelines, and I just want to thank him for the great job that he's done.
Okay, thanks, Premier.
You also said that all of your candidates for the next election, you wanted them to be vaccinated, but with the vaccine certificate system lifting, all of the workplace directives lifting, are you going to lift that directive for your candidates as well?
I'll tell you, every person that's running for the PC Party of Ontario is vaccinated, confirmed. Okay, thank you, everyone. Take care.